This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be looking at our newest ebook, The Complete Guide to Data-Driven Content Development. I was really excited for this ebook to be published because this is right within our wheelhouse here at Brafton. This is the type of thing we do for our clients. This is the type of thing that we do on our internal marketing team, finding data, interpreting it, and using it to actually create content that drives results. Dom Sorrentino wrote this ebook, and he did a really excellent job, I thought, of explaining every step of the process really well, and also pulling in firsthand experience from what we've seen at Brafton. And Courtney Meyer did an awesome job designing this and making it look generally just beautiful. So let's dive in. We start out by talking about why you want data in content marketing in the first place. And that is because, of course, great content that drives results is not created by accident. It's not created just because. It's not a mistake. You create great content based on a strategy. You put time and effort into it, and you create it for commercial goals. You start that process, of course, by defining who exactly you're going to be talking to. Who is it that you want to find your content, and who is having the problems that your company can solve? Once you identify your target audience, you can analyze where you are right now, how you're performing in search, how your website is performing, basically how people can find you now and how people view you now. And once you have an understanding of where you are currently, you can go into where you want to go, how you want to be performing, what types of search terms you want to be showing results for, and things like that. You can think of this as a point A and a point B. And once you've defined point A and point B, you can start creating a map to go from here to there. And because a lot of this depends on SEO, search engine optimization, you begin with keyword research. What are people actually searching for? What are the words that they use when they go to Google to learn something new or find something new? From there, once you know what keywords to target for an effective strategy, you begin diving a little bit deeper and looking at how you want to target those keywords. And that goes into how you want to structure your content, the type of content you want to produce, whether it's a blog post or a video or an ebook like this one, and also how to support your main keyword with secondary keywords and things like that. Once you have your roadmap for how to create great content that is effective, you go into the creation, and not just the creation, but also the promotion and the distribution of it. It's so important to create content with promotion and distribution strategies in mind, because even if you create a piece of awesome content, if no one can find it, it may as well not exist. You absolutely need to understand how people will find it and how you will share it with others when you're creating it. Once you have that content made, you go into reviewing the metrics, seeing how it's performing, seeing if people are reacting how you expected to it, if people are finding it in the way that you anticipated, or if something is surprising you. And of course, this brings you back to the very beginning, seeing where you are now that you've published a new piece of content, and if it's helping you get to where you need to go, or if now you have new goals or something new to strive for. So this is a process that never really ends. You keep going back through and through and through. So let's take a look a little bit closer at each of these steps. Like I said, Dom did a great job of bringing in real experiences that Brafton had, and identifying your target audience should be the first step, and that's exactly something that Brafton has done. And we were a little surprised to find that our most avid blog readers are actually influencers, not people making purchase decisions, but perhaps people reporting to those people who do make purchase decisions. We also found out that some of our readers are just looking for information. Maybe they are recent college graduates looking at entry-level positions, or maybe they are students who need information for school projects. In either case, they're coming to our website to learn something new. Understanding both of these reader personas helped us tailor our content to them. And we talk a little bit more about this later on. Every organization can and should identify who their current readers are and who their target readers are. We found out all of this information by looking at our Google Analytics and CRM data, and those are two excellent places for any organization to start. Another invaluable source of information is, of course, a sales team. Sales team members are people who are speaking to real human beings who have found your company, who have had questions that your company knows how to answer, and they are the ones explaining what their actual pain points are. So by learning that type of information, you can structure content to answer those questions and tailor content to be valuable to those specific types of people. Once you have defined your target audience, you can begin assessing where you're at right now, how you're currently performing in search, as well as how your website is performing. And your two main tools to do that are Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So I'll talk a little bit about both of those. Google Analytics shows you how your site is performing and how people are interacting with it. It'll tell you how many people are finding your website, how often they come back, how long they spend on your website, how many pages they look at while they're there, and how much time they spend on your page. It tells you how people found your website in the first place, whether it's in search or email or social media or something else. It's important to recognize that these numbers will all have a surface meaning, but then also you can dig a little bit deeper and connect some dots and form a storyline that tells you how exactly your site is performing beyond just the face value of the metrics. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little later on. While Google Analytics will tell you how your site is performing, Google Search Console will show you how you're doing in organic search. It shows you how often your pages are showing up in SERPs, search engine results pages, how often people are clicking on your site when you do show up in search, where you're positioned, whether you're page 1 or page 4, or if you are on page 1, if you're towards the top or towards the bottom. Of course, your goal is to get as high up on page 1 as possible because that is where people click. Search Console also shows you which queries you are ranking for. So what words are people actually searching that provides your website as a result? Once you have all of that information, it's time to start connecting some dots and understanding the story of where you're currently positioned. The example Dom uses is a high pages per session, which at first can be really exciting. It means that someone is landing on your website and clicking through to other pages and exploring your site and the content you've got on it. But that might mean that they're very interested in what you're telling them, but it could also mean that they are looking for something that they can't find, and they're searching and searching and they're not getting there. So you would be able to tell that by looking at the time on page and the average session duration. If those are both really short, it means they're not really spending a ton of time on each page. They might just be scanning your site, looking for something that they're not going to find. And if that's the case, it's time for you to go back to the drawing board, understand what's missing or why it's difficult to navigate your site, and make adjustments based on that. Of course, if your strategy or if the metrics tell you something more positive than that, then how can you apply it to other aspects of your strategy for greater success? Once you have an understanding of what people need from your company, what they are trying to find that your company can provide, it's time to do keyword research. SEO is a major point of content marketing, of course, and that begins with understanding the words people use to ask the questions and find the answers. Some of our favorite tools for keyword research are SEMrush, Moz's Keyword Explorer, Ahrefs, Keyword Finder by Mangoals. We recently did a review of this and posted it on our blog. No matter which one you start out with or multiple ones, you're going to want to look at search volume as well as search difficulty. This will tell you a few things. Search volume will say how often someone is searching for a certain term, meaning how many times you have the chance to rank for it. And then search difficulty will show you how hard it is to actually land on page one for that term. When you are choosing your keywords to target, it's important to strike a careful balance between the two. You want something that people will search for, but not something so difficult that you don't stand a chance to rank for. So we do have a little bit of guidance for that. Generally, you can use your site's domain authority as a measure and aim for keywords that have a difficulty score of just less than your domain authority. Of course, as you begin producing great content that really engages people, it will benefit your domain authority. You will get social shares, you'll get backlinks. Basically, you'll get more attention, which will improve your domain authority, improve your search performance, and in turn, give you the opportunity to target more difficult keywords. As Dawn points out, it's important to target a wide variety of keywords. Some will have commercial intent and some won't, but they will still be valuable for your brand. For example, how to develop a content strategy. This is the term that we're targeting with this ebook. And this is not necessarily something that someone who wants to invest in content marketing services will search, but it could be. And it's something that our influencer, which we mentioned earlier, would be looking for. So by being able to answer that person's question and provide them with good, strong information, we're establishing brand awareness and we're building trust with that person and generally just engaging them on their content marketing journey. Once you have the keywords that you want to target, it's time to map out how exactly you're going to target them. We use a few different tools to help us create that map, including MarketMuse and the SEO content template available through SEMrush. Both of them will give you information like the typical word count you want to target and semantically related keywords that will support your main keyword that you're targeting. They'll also give you an idea of the general topics, the subtopics to discuss that are related to that main topic. But then you'll also want to do your own research using the SERPs themselves or other tools to get an understanding of what other questions are related to that main topic that people wonder when they are searching for that question. And content briefs also talk about, how to structure the metadata that goes behind the scenes of the blog post or the landing page that you're creating. The next step, of course, is to simply write the content. Simple is an understatement. It takes a lot of time and strategy to create a good piece of content, even when you do have a roadmap as detailed as a content brief. It's also important to keep in mind that not all content that you create will be searchable on Google. White papers, case studies, ebooks like this one, they're not visible to Google crawlers, so they're not going to show up in SERPs. So because of that, that's when your promotion and distribution strategy comes in and has to be strong, has to be planned out. Once you've got your content published and distributed, that's when you can begin reviewing the metrics. It's never too early to start tracking success, whether that is the number of downloads that an ebook is getting or the number of social shares that a blog post is getting. But when you begin getting into the metrics of a piece of content, it's important to remember that it does take time for this type of information to really tell a true full story. With SEO content, it takes about 100 days for a piece of content to mature into its ranking. And in that first 100 days, it'll fluctuate quite a bit, meaning sometimes it might be ranked very highly, other days it might fall in the rankings. In either case, after that 100 days, it'll be a little bit more stable. And it's from that point that you can begin making strategic decisions about how to structure new content, how to re-optimize old content, and things like that. As you're reviewing metrics, you are going to keep in mind the same things that were at the beginning of this process, which are how you are currently positioned and how you want to move your brand further and what types of KPIs you want to be hitting. And this is where that process starts all over again. As Dom sums up kind of ominously, digital marketing is a journey without an end. But fear not, because as long as you have data, you're never really lost. Every move that you make is a learning experience, and you are either going to learn that something is very effective or it's not super effective. In any case, as long as you are looking at the data, analyzing the results, and making strategic decisions based on that, you are moving in the right direction and you're learning as you go. That's what we have for you today. I'd like to open it up to any questions anyone has.